We tend to think that modern technology has made the world a smaller place, but some of the women you're about to meet might not agree. On properties spanning thousands of hectares, hundreds of kilometres from the nearest town, they have few breaks from the routine and isolation, apart from the visits of Cobar's bushmobile, that is. The women say it's a lifesaver, but its own life is hanging by a thread.
Out beyond the Black Stump in far western New South Wales, a red-letter day is shaping on Ballerabon Station. For the second time this year, rain has turned the roads to mudcat. But the children's bushmobile, all the way from Cobar, has made it through on time.
They love having the mobile come out to visit. They always look forward to it, always get excited when they hear the car coming down the road.
It's a sight for sore eyes, not only with the toys and other fascinations tumbling from the vehicle.
Who's in there?
It means a break from the daily routine, as welcome out here as the rain, and something else more fundamental, the simple pleasure of human contact.
So we've got, Mum's going extra. 2 more Henrys.
It is very important to me. Yeah, I look forward to it. It's about the only break I get from the children.
A sanity saver for the parents, crucial early education exposure for the children. The bushmobile does the rounds of isolated properties in the vast Cobar Shire, an area bigger than Tasmania.
The main focus of the service is all socialisation for the children, socialisation for the parents, so that everybody's not feeling quite so isolated, that they've got somebody to talk to.
Patched together on a shoestring budget by volunteers like Nikki Jenkins, it's a service never more needed than now. But like too many services out here, the wheels are all but falling off. A conspiracy of drought, a shortage of qualified staff, and what boils down to inadequate government funding.
It's almost like nobody cares if that happens. If the service isn't there, then who cares? Does it matter what happens to these people? Are they any less important because they're in the middle of nowhere?
It's the same sad story all through the outback. Cries for help by struggling bush services, lost in the background clamour of the worst drought in 100 years. Voices in the wilderness, you might say, yet they're symptomatic of a deeper crisis confronting rural Australia, and one that's going to take much more than just steady soaking rain to fix. Out in the middle of nowhere, Mel Hughes is raising 4 children under 6.
Up you go.
Not yet 30, she's as tough as the next, but even outback mums are women first and foremost. The bushmobile her lifeline to a world beyond the station gates.
You get a bit sick of hearing about bulldozers and cows and things like that, so yeah, it's nice to sit down with the girls and have a chat.
Like rural Australians everywhere, they're in a battle for survival. With no stock and no farm income for 2 years now, husband Joe is often away chasing work for wages. And that means most days it's just mum and the kids, alone on Ballerabon's 60,000 acres.
Honestly, there was a time during the drought where I probably could have packed up and gone somewhere else, because it did get very difficult.
Difficult it remains. Cobar still too distant, petrol too expensive for a social visit, and 100 kilometres there and back to the nearest farm with children. She worries about her children's language skills and social development, whether they can make it through unscathed to a future unencumbered by the effects of childhood isolation. And without the bushmobile, that would seem impossible. 70 kilometres out from Cobar on sprawling Cable Downs, Karen Viant shows off her freshly brimming house dam, bone dry just 6 months ago.
Watch, careful. Righto, go.
The bushmobile gatherings that blossom every fortnight on her precious patch of lawn are pivotal to the hopes for her youngest son, preparing him for the comparative rigours of school in town.
I don't want to do the distance education scenario down the track with him, so I want him to have as much interaction with children as possible and with the parents too.
It looks great, doesn't it, when you squish it together?
I made some hamburger too.
Oh, looks good.
They know that Ethan's a bush boy and a little bit more raucous or a little bit more wrestle prone than other kids. That's nice.
But without a qualified full-time coordinator, the service could lose its state funding, meaning the end of the road for the bushmobile.
We've got the next month taken care of, just with mums sort of volunteering, and that's terrific. So we hope in that month that someone sort of, I want to come and live in Cobar.
But there's faint hope of that, given the funding limitations and a cash-strapped community that simply can't afford to help.
The only incentive that is offered is their wage, and that's not great.
It's crisis after crisis, the latest over the bushmobile itself. It's due for replacement, and even the Shire Council has knocked them back on helping out with that.
We haven't got the facilities there to help them.
Again, blame the drought, says Deputy Mayor Tony Chaplin. But the government could be doing more.
These things, they're vital. And if we can help, we try, but we really need some help from the governments.
It's like we're living in another world. It's like we're in a third world country for all the difference that it makes to a child with special needs out here.
Kirsty Berthelsen already drives 300 kilometres a fortnight to access services for her daughter Jackie. And she's angry enough to tell it like it is.
Liberal or Labor government, if you live west of the Blue Mountains, you don't exist. You're not a decent demographic. They gut our services and continue to gut our services. So, no. Has any of them done anything for us in the last 30 years? Not a thing.
It shouldn't be that hard, no. I don't think so. It's a beautiful service. I mean, it's great fun. The children get heaps out of it.
But that's the outback, says veteran helper Tammy McKay, and reality has nowhere to hide.
We can't offer extra, we can only offer the award and possibly offer you something that you won't experience anywhere else.
Sometimes it's not enough though, isn't it?
It's not enough, no.
I'd like to think that someone would do the right thing by us and keep it going without all the hassles and without all the bullshit and all the paperwork and all the rest of it. And I just want to see it stay.
No one is saying so out loud, but the latest rain means fresh hope that rural fortunes may be on the turn at last. And there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes out here, hope is all there is.
Maybe another use for those budget surpluses. John Collis reporting there. We'll